Okay, hello everyone. Lara Ryan with you here again, and back another Task 2 live stream. So what we're going to do is look at a question together. You are going to tell me what you would say. So we'll look at the paraphrase, what main ideas you would use, how you would develop those main ideas, and basically I'm going to give you feedback on what you come up with. So that's the purpose of this live stream. It's to give you feedback. But if you haven't already completed my lessons that show and explain to you how to write a Task 2 essay, you should complete those. And I'm going to share those with you right now. So you'll see the links here. I have one link for Facebook and one link for YouTube. They're the same lessons. I know a lot of you come to these lessons, these live streams regularly, so you've already completed those. But I do want to share them just for any new students joining us. Hey, Ranjana. Long time no see. Good to see you back here. Hey, Sharon Preet. Madeline. Good to see you here. And Thota, hello to you. Okay, so what we're going to do is just start by getting you to write the paraphrase. So in case you're not aware, the paraphrase is where you take the question statement and you rewrite it in your own words. Now, two things that I see over and over again is A, students trying desperately not to use any of the words in the question statement. And because they feel they cannot, they end up writing a paraphrase that doesn't have any meaning, or at least not the meaning they want it to have. So you can use words from the question statement, just use as few as possible. And the other thing then is students paraphrasing the word some as many. Those are different meanings. They are describing the size of a group, but they are different. They are different. So just because I see it so often, I prefer to let you make your mistakes and I'll fix them for you. But I genuinely see those two mistakes repeatedly over and over again. So I'll just give you those little tips and then I'm going to share today's lesson, today's question with you. So I want you to write the paraphrase for this question, put it into the comments, and then I'll have feedback for you. We have some more people here. Hey, Geraldine, good to see you. Good to see you here. No Nace, welcome to the lesson. Bertha, your first time here, I believe. Welcome as well. Hey, Kamal. I haven't seen you in the live feedback lessons for a long time. Good to see you here. Hi, Eric Jose. Good to see you here too. You repeat the instructions of task 2 in every feedback video. I mean, how will I get bored of I am at your position? So why am I not bored saying the same thing over and over again? Honestly, I wouldn't say IELTS is the most interesting thing in the world. I mean, you're studying IELTS, you know it's not really entertaining or interesting, but it makes a massive difference to people's lives. When somebody gets their IELTS scores, you know, it's a life-changing thing for people. And I just like being a part of that. So yeah, there's motivation. Between the repetition, there's motivation for sure. Thanks, Kamal. Good to see you here too, Itat. Hi, Myra. And Kamal. Another Kamal. Welcome, Kamal. Sanjani, hi to you. Maravik is here. Maravik, one of the hardest working students that I know. She's constantly working towards improving her scores. Hey, Ligi. Good to see you here again. And for everyone here, make sure to participate. So, of course, you will learn something by looking at other people's mistakes, but you will learn more if I can point out your specific mistakes and you see what you're doing wrong. Hey, Blessing. Okay, so I see I have some paraphrases. If you are not finished your paraphrase, continue writing it and share it with me when you are ready. Sharon Preet here is finished. So I'm going to start giving feedback. Some individuals spend enough money on family celebrations. No, enough means the right amount, but too much. The word too indicates that it's a problem. So the word too means that it's problematic, that there's something wrong with the amount of money. So enough and too much do not have the same meaning. Sorry for asking a personal question. I would like to know why current IELTS teachers don't teach and why you left IELTS correction. Do you mean why I left IELTS examining? Well, IELTS examining was always a part-time job for me. When I was teaching in British Council, and then I was doing IELTS examining as well. So I never did it full time, but that would be the normal. That would be the normal situation, except I believe in China where they would have full time positions for IELTS examiners. But in most parts of the world, it would just be part time work. So it was never my full time job doing that. So the opportunity to do that full time was never there. So I pursued other things. Thota, is that the question you've asked? I'm guessing because you said left IELTS correction. I'm guessing that's what you mean. You mean leaving IELTS examining. If not, I'm happy to share with you if it's a different question. Hey Edmund, good to see you here. Okay, Gerline. Many feel that family gatherings like birthdays and weddings are being spent extravagantly. No. So here you have the subject being the celebrations and then the verb being spent. So it's the money is being spent. So those don't collocate. So the wrong verb, that doesn't work, unfortunately. Now, if we are to say certain individuals, that means a particular group of people. So I would say, I know those people. So I would say there are certain people in my family who do this, and I already know who they are, but I'm not saying their name. So that's when I would use certain individuals. I know who they are, but I'm not telling you who they are. I want to protect their identity for some reason. So certain individuals doesn't work. Spend excessively on family celebrations. That part is good. Sathija, some individuals spend more times to celebrate their family functions. No. So it's about too much money, not too much time. So spend too much means spend too much money. So it doesn't explicitly have the word money in the question statement, but that is what's being referred to. Hey, Sova. Some individuals, that has to be plural. Some individuals spend a lot amount on, no, spend a lot would be okay. Some individuals spend a lot on the family functions. Well, no, not the, because it's not specific. So it would be like on the family functions of their children, but it's not specific functions. So it would just be on family functions, no article, such as birthdays and marriage ceremonies. So you're making mistakes with plurals. You'll definitely need to focus on that, and articles as well, Sova, for you. Sandy, good to see you too. Too much money. Yeah, some people spend too much. If it doesn't say specifically money or time, it would always be money. Always. You would never instinctively think it's time. When we just say spend too much, that's always in relation to money. Ranjana, there are those who spend too much on the celebrations of their families like birthdays and like birthday parties and weddings. So here you've put like birthday parties and weddings after their families. So really, like birthday parties and weddings is describing families, so it doesn't make sense. Now I can figure it out. I know exactly you're talking about the types of celebrations, but because you've distanced the example of the celebrations from the word celebrations, it's not obvious that it is like cohesively. It's not the right place to put it. So you just need to move those examples next to the word celebrations. Sanjani. There are some who spend huge amounts, that needs to be plural, huge amounts of their money, or it could be with an article, a huge amount of their money, because you've used the preposition there. Actually, a would be better. There are some who spend a huge amount of their money on celebrating special days like birthdays and weddings. Again, another plural mistake. With the family, with their families. So a few plural mistakes. That's definitely an area for you to work on. Thota, I guess correctly. Good. Kamal, there are some who celebrate their family functions in a very extravagant way. That wouldn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing, because the word to indicates it's a problem. And there's nothing in your paraphrase to indicate that it is a problem. So that would not, you're missing that aspect of the paraphrase, of the question statement. Sandy, some individuals use too much money on celebrating their family events. That's good, but I think the word use, so use money is a collocation, but it's quite a weak collocation. Use too much money. It's accurate, but it's not a strong collocation. So use wouldn't be the best choice, even though it is accurate. Marek, yes, as far as I know, because this is the only time they can spend together with the social gathering they have. So you've moved on to the next part, I think. So Maravik, we're just paraphrasing the question at the moment. Myra, other people prepare unwisely with too much expenses. So it's a spelling mistake there, Myra, in celebrations such as birthdays and weddings. Okay, so when we're saying some and other, we're talking about two groups. So some people do this, other people do that. But without the context of some, we cannot have other. So we have to talk about the first group of people first, and then we can talk about the other people. But without the context already established, other doesn't make sense, and it's not a synonym for some. So that doesn't work. Mohammed, some people spend a lot on celebrations like weddings and birthdays. Now again, a lot. So when we say a lot, that's just saying, it's the opposite of a small amount. So some people spend a small amount, some people spend a lot. But in the question, it says too much, which means it's a problem. The amount that they're spending is not good. There's some problem with that. So that aspect of, the question statement has the word to, saying there's something wrong with what they're doing. And again, that part of the question statement is not paraphrased. It doesn't feature in your paraphrase. Pene, welcome to the lesson. There are so if you're saying my family, it's not talking about specifically you, it's talking about people in general. So you cannot say my family. So there are a number of members in my, no, that's a completely different meaning. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. Maravik, some people, they do not spend. So you have two subjects, you have some people, and then you have they. So you just need one of those. So some people did not spend money. Now that's past tense, but the question is in relation to now. So present simple would be the appropriate tense. Did not spend money to celebrate the occasions What they want is only to get together. So this is nothing to do with the question. So the question isn't about other people who don't spend it. It's about the people who do spend too much. So you have to stay focused on the group of people in that question. So that isn't suitable, Maravik. Madeline, there is quite a number of people. No, that doesn't paraphrase some people. No, it doesn't work. I see you're trying to avoid using some. In fact, just use some. Some would be fine. Or we had earlier on, Sathija just said some individuals, and that's enough. That works just fine. There's quite a number of people who use a lot of money on celebrations they do as families, for example, birthday parties and wedding ceremonies. Yep. Again, use isn't a great collocation, even though it does communicate and it's not wrong, but it's not the best. It's not the strongest collocation with money. So few has to start with a few, so a few people, but then few and some is a different meaning. So again, that doesn't work. Celebrate family functions like birthday parties and weddings with a lot of expenses. So now you're describing that the celebrations have a lot of expenses, not the amount of money that they're spending. So you're more focusing on how, no, it doesn't, and it doesn't indicate that it's a problem either. So no, that paraphrase doesn't work either, Thota. Roland, a lot of people use a huge amount of money when they celebrate family events like birthdays and weddings. So again, there's nothing here that says that's a problem. So a lot and two don't have the same meaning. A lot of money might be okay, it might be a problem, but the word two is definitely a problem. So the word two indicates there's something wrong. So again, in your paraphrase, there's no indication that this is a problem. Family functions. So Arif, first of all, capital F for the first letter of the first word in the sentence, and you need a full stop at the end. Okay. Family functions needs to be plural, like birthdays and weddings are quite expensive celebrations. No. So you're not saying that they're expensive. We're saying that some people are spending too much money on those. So that's not the same. That's not the same thing either. Some individuals spend their money excessively on celebrating. Yeah, that's better. Or spend. Yeah, correct. Okay, Sova, a lot amount, no. A lot of money. Let's go with a lot of money. A lot of money is being expense. So an expense is something that costs you money. So an expense is something you have to spend money on. So that's not the same thing. On the family, no. So not the, on family celebrations such as birthdays and weddings. Wedding has two D's, not two E's by some individuals. That part's okay. Patricia, not sure what that means. Some people spend way beyond their limits. So it's not necessarily that they're spending more money than they have. It's that they're spending more than they should, that they're spending. So it's not that they're, it's not that they're borrowing money. It's not, it might be, but it doesn't say that, it doesn't specifically say that they're spending more money than they have. It just says that they're spending so much that it's problematic. So that's what they're saying. So that doesn't have the same meaning either. So I have outside the internet connection is not good, but yeah, that's, and as well, you can watch the recording and participate there. So even if your internet isn't great at the moment, you still have that option. Okay. Before I look at the rest of these comments, can you just tell me, just write a number in the comments and say, how many main ideas do we need for this particular question? So how many main ideas is required for this? And to answer that, you need to look at this part of the question. So how many main ideas? It had some people spend two is TOO, too much on family celebrations. So that's a plural mistake. I believe. Yeah, that's fine. So that needs to be a full stop, not a comma. But that works just fine at that. That works just fine in that you don't need to include the examples. So in the question, this is the main part, and the examples are to help us understand what family celebrations are. So it's not necessary to paraphrase the examples. It's not necessary to talk about the examples in our answer. So yep, that works just fine. Penny, there is a number of human beings. No. When we talk about human beings, that's more in relation to a species of animal. So it would be more, if we're discussing humans versus another species, it'd be more like something you would see in a nature documentary. That phrase, even though it means people, is not suitable for this context. Blessing, a lot of people spend money on birthdays and weddings, but again, it's the fact that they're spending too much. So the fact that it's a problem is what we're looking for. Penny, sorry, I forgot to finish yours there. There are a number of human beings there are a number of human beings who spend, so you need the relative pronoun, too much money. No, cost doesn't work like that. On many family occasions. And it's not saying the number of occasions, it's saying the amount of money. So that isn't suitable either. And as well, it just seems, and a lot of the mistakes here are students trying too hard not to repeat the words from the question. So again, don't feel like you have no option. You can use words from the question if you need to. Again, if there isn't an indication that this is a problem. Oh, I looked at that already. Hey, Kabika, good to see you here. A large amount of money is spent, needs with a T, because it's passive, by a few people on a few people isn't the same as some people. A few people is like a small number, like 10 or 20 people, whereas some, we don't know what size it is. We just know that these people exist. On family celebrations, like on birthdays and marriages. Good. A few individuals. So you have a problem with articles and a problem with plurals, spend, and subject verb agreement. So quite a few grammar mistakes there that you'll need to work on. Spend a huge amount of money on family celebrations like birthdays and weddings. So again, weddings is 2 Ds and 1 E. Hi, Kalsum. Good to see you here. Two main ideas. Two. Let me have a quick look. What is the function of these celebrations? So we need 1 for that. Do you think people really spend too much? And again, we need 1 for that. So, yep, 2 is correct. Good. All right. So from there, what I'm interested in is what main ideas would you use? And instead of just giving me 1 main idea, I want you to give me both main ideas. And instead of giving me as many main ideas as you can think of, I want you to choose the ones that you think are appropriate. So don't give me 5 ideas and then hope that 1 is right. Give me 1 main idea for the first question that you really think is correct. Because if you've analyzed it and you really think it's right, that will help you to notice whether you have a problem with generating relevant ideas or if you have a problem with generating specific ideas. So it would be much better, give me 1 main idea for that first question and 1 main idea for that second question, and take enough time to analyze it. Don't just do it as quickly as you can. So what I'm interested in here is seeing not just what ideas you can think of, but if you think your ideas are appropriate or not. So share with me one idea for the first and one idea for the second question in that. Okay. Where am I? So as you're doing that, I'm going to continue giving feedback to the other students on their paraphrases. So Haib, yes, people spend so much money for celebrating these events because they imitate each other. So that's got nothing to do with the question and showing up themselves and think. So no, it doesn't. It hasn't asked you to comment on why people are spending too much money. That's the. It's. I mean, that's what you've written is related to the topic, but it's not what you've been asked to talk about. That you'd end up with like a band 4 for task achievement when you just go and talk about what you want to talk about. So you need to look at the specific question. The first one: what is the function of these celebrations? And you haven't given the function of the celebrations here. And then, do you think people spend too much? The wording here, maybe that yes, people spend so much, but it looks more like you're agreeing that people spend a lot. You're not saying if you think it's a problem. So again, the word too in the question here. Do you think people spend too much? Do you think it's a problem? Or do you think people can spend whatever they want? It's up to them. Or do you think the amount they're spending isn't appropriate? It's a problem that needs to be addressed, or that you disagree with at least. 2 is right, Rupinder. Arif, some individuals, that needs to be plural. Spent, again, spent is past tense, but the question is present, so that doesn't work. Much money, too much money would be fine, but much money doesn't have a meaning. And again, we're looking for the word too to indicate that it's a problem. Like birthdays and marriages. The rest is fine. Ranjana, some splurge too much money. Splurge, no, it's not suitable. Splurge is about spending a lot of money, but not in this context. On the celebrations of their families. That's a good paraphrase of the rest of the question statement. Some individuals are financially wasteful in family gatherings like birthdays and weddings. Financially wasteful, I understand it, but that's not actually a phrase in English. So that's not a phrase you would find people using. So I get it, and the rest is fine, but that part is not accurate. Some people consume their money at weddings and birthdays. So wedding is spelled incorrectly. Weddings needs to be plural. You need a full stop at the end of the sentence. So mainly I would recommend that you focus on grammar. That would help you most. Hey, Jervin. Good to see you here. Blessing. Some people spend a lot of money on family, birthdays, and weddings. Again, a lot is not the same as two. Sathija Kalsum, that's correct. Okay. Sir, I'm unable to understand first question. What is the function of these celebrations? Like functions, birthdays, and anniversaries? It's probably you don't understand the meaning of the word function. So it basically means what are they for? What's their purpose? What is the purpose of these celebrations? It would be another way of saying it. The main functions of these celebrations is to show family economic level to others. Ooh, that works. Good. Yes. Sathija, again, when I first start doing live streams, and you were here, you've been here from the very start. You disappeared for a while, and I'm glad to see you here. But to compare the level of your writing now and the level of your writing when you first joined these live streams, you've made massive improvement. I can see you've been working hard. I can see you've been focusing on improving your English. Your accuracy is so much better. then I don't remember how many months I've been doing these, but I can really see improvement, and just it's noticeable, and well done. Please explain. Okay, Arif. So we already had that answered. Some people use excessive amount of money for family. Yes, excessive. Excessive is problematic. To say excessive means there's something wrong with what they're doing. That works. Good. Some people use, however, you need an article. So some people, okay, again, use is okay, but spend is better. So some people spend an excessive amount of money on their family celebrations. So the word excessive works well, but there are quite a few other mistakes there. There are tendency of people to spend more money for no, that doesn't have the same meaning. That you're just saying that people spend more money than more money than they used to in the past. Again, it doesn't have the same meaning, I'm afraid. That is because these days are important for them and they want it to be special. So no. So it seems you didn't understand that first question either. So function is purpose. Sova, the main function is to allow their culture, is to follow their culture and rituals. Yes, definitely they spend too much because they try to show off how wealthy they are. The first idea is good. The second idea, that's a reason why they do it, not a reason why it's too much money. So no, that second idea is irrelevant. Rupinder, celebrate their special day with their families and friends. Good. Family gatherings and to meet with relatives on these occasions. So family gatherings doesn't make sense. That's just another word for, people getting together to meet relatives on these occasions. So the second part, to meet with relatives on these occasions, that's a suitable main idea for the first question. That bit, family gatherings, that it doesn't really have any meaning in this context. Kamal, good, that works. Hello, Facebook user. Share their happiness and sorrow. For the first one, that makes sense. Good. Rupinder, it depends on their financial condition. If some people can afford, they can spend. So 2. Do you think people really spend too much? You're making it too complicated. Rupinder, it's going to be a lot easier to say yes or no and then support that. So it depends on their financial. So do you think that they, so I feel like you haven't answered the question. They do or they don't. So if you're saying some people do because they can't afford it, then you should say, do you think people really spend too much money? Say, yes, I do, because people are spending more money than they have and they're going into debt. That would be fine. Or no, they don't, because if they have enough money, they should be allowed to spend it on whatever they want. Or no, I don't, because I think people should be free to do what they want with their money. So either would be fine, but by trying to do both things at the same time, you're not really doing either. So I'd much prefer if you just went straight for yes, I do, or no, I don't, and then support it with one of those. Hey, Gulwant, good to see you here. Too much money is spent by some people on family celebrations. Perfect. Wait a minute, actually. Too much money, that's copied from the question. No, too much is spent by some people. A lot of this, and I know it's like you're never going to please me. You're never going to please me if you don't copy the words from the question and you make mistakes. I'll say you should have copied the words from the question. But then when you copy so many words from the question, I'm going to say you can improve that by using fewer words from the question. But the fact that this is a lot. So if we look here, too much money, let's count them up, right? Too much, okay, money is spent. That's not counted as the same thing because you changed the verb tense, or you changed it from active to passive. By some people, and then on family celebrations. So that's 6 out of the 6 out of the 11. So half of the words in your sentence, half of the words in your paraphrase have come from the question statement. So if that was the best you could do to keep to be clear, then great. But you could do better again. But of course, don't take risks. Don't use words that don't communicate clearly. So this, at least it has the meaning that it needs to have, but more words than I would like in the paraphrase. Arzu, hello there. It can be seen that some individuals spend more money over the family events like birthdays. No. So over isn't right. Over isn't accurate. That preposition is wrong. And also what? Oh yeah, the meaning to, the fact that it's a problem, that isn't obvious in your paraphrase. Okay, so Ahib, these kind of celebrations is to enjoy your time with your family and friends, which requires an amount of money also for keeping close people together for a period of time. That's not relevant because it doesn't answer any of the questions you've been asked. Oh, wait. To enjoy your time with your family. Apologies. Sorry, that is accurate. That is appropriate. And do you think people really spend too much time? So you haven't answered that second question. Yes, man. Some individuals consume high amounts, plural amounts of money on family occasions and gatherings. But again, a huge amount of money isn't necessarily a bad thing. So it doesn't clearly indicate that that's a problem, whereas the word to does specifically say that there's something wrong with this. The function of the celebration is appreciating one in a lifetime occasion. Wouldn't say birthdays are one in a lifetime occasion. I think that's, you probably think that phrase looks good. You might think that phrase would get you a better vocab score because it's quite it's a phrase that isn't used very often, but you can't use it if it doesn't mean what you're trying to communicate. And sure, weddings are one in a lifetime for the individuals, but not for the families, and definitely not birthdays. We wouldn't refer to them as that. So don't concern yourself too much. Don't concern yourself too much about using less common vocab and focus more on the communication. Penny. So a number, you need the article. A number of individuals. So again, you need an article in the beginning. That needs to be plural. And a number of individuals isn't the same as some. So that's not accurate. Spend too much money on family occasions like birthdays and weddings as well. So plurals and articles, those will be the two grammar areas you need to work on most, Penny. Okay, Calcium. People love to spend time and money for those things which gave them good feelings. So celebrities are the people, not celebrations. It's a good things to spend their time to change their mood to be better. They had a joke and have fun. No, you're gone off topic. So you're just talking about family celebrations. But it's what you have to directly answer the question. And normally, like a direct answer, a main idea is normally like 4 words, 5 words in length. So if it's taken you, a full paragraph to explain your idea, that's not a main idea. So what is the function of these celebrations? You should be able to say that in 3, 4, 5 words. And do you think people really spend too much? So again, you're going to say, yes, I do, because, and then that main idea again should be 3, 4, 5 words. So when it's taking you so many words to state your main idea, it's a pretty good indication that it's not appropriate. The main purpose of these celebrations is to show their family members how much they value each other. Okay, perfect. This is worded very well. It's relevant. It's specific. Great. That's a great job. So that's a perfect answer to the first question. But obviously, Ranjana, you're missing the answer to the second question there. But yeah, that's very good. All right, Jose, one major function of these celebrations is that it helps to reunite the family being once in a while event. I say reunite the family members. Okay, I'm going to rephrase it for you. So there's some vocab problems, but the idea is good. One major function of these celebrations is that it helps to reunite the family members every so often. No, that's too informal. Reunite the family members from time to time. There, that would work. Oftentimes, these celebrations help one to meet their family members that one haven't seen in a long time, for example. So you've just kind of repeated that. That's not an explanation. So repeating the idea again isn't an explanation, but that main idea is suitable. From what I understand, people really spend too much beyond their financial constraints. So, Ranjana, that is a reason for your opinion, but make sure that you do give your opinion. So you'd have to say, so the question, do you think people really spend too much? You say, yes, I do, because many people spend beyond their financial means. Okay, Arif. Nowadays, people want to show their attitude towards others by excessively celebrating events like birthdays. That attitude doesn't work. So your attitude is like would be closer to your personality. No, so that wouldn't work. That doesn't suit the context of the question. They think the more they spend on these events, the more others will admire them. Okay. But the question is, what are the events for? Not why do people spend too much money? So again, you're generally talking about the topic of the question, but you're not directly responding to what you've been asked. So you're talking about this, but you're not discussing what you've been asked to discuss. So that is not going to help you to get a good task achievement score, unfortunately, Arif. Sharmpreet, the main function of such celebrations is gathering. So you'd have to say gathering what? So that by itself doesn't mean anything. And of course, I know what you're trying to say because I've read the question. But gathering, yeah, you have to say gathering what? And I believe they spend too much money because of the enjoyment. No. So it's not why are they spending too much money? It's why do you think they're spending too much money? Sorry, that didn't make sense. I just repeated myself. Do you think people spend too much money? So you're saying, yes, I think they spend too much money, but not why are they spending the money? It's why do you think it's too much? So if you think they're spending more money than they should, why do you think they're spending? Why is it more than they should? So it's not the reason they're spending it, it's the reason it's too high. The reason that it's the amount of money is more than you think is appropriate. So that's what you're trying to say. Facebook user. Some individuals these days spend a hell of a lot of money on family memories like birthdays and weddings. A hell of a lot is too informal for an academic essay. And memories and celebrations do not have the same meaning. Rupinder, you're very welcome. Hey, Big B, good to see you here. It is believed that too much money is used for family. No, decorations are not the same as celebrations. That's a different word. Like birthdays and weddings by some people. It is believed that too much money is used for family occasions like birthdays and weddings by some people. So when you say by some people here, that's referring to it is believed. So it is believed by some people, but what we're trying to say is that some people are spending. So that's not accurate. Arzu, the main focus of these celebrations is to make the event a successful one. No, because the celebration is the event. So the main focus of the celebration is to make the celebration a successful one. That doesn't make sense. And no matter how much it costs, it takes people will spend it just to show off their financial soundness in society. No, you're not really addressing the questions there. You're not really addressing the questions there, Arzu. So what is the function? I guess at the end, to show off their financial soundness in society or their financial status in society, that could be the function. But it isn't clear that that's your main idea, that that's your response to that first question. So that's not completely clear, Arzu. So I think that last bit is a suitable main idea, but you need to communicate it more clearly in a way that it's obvious you're addressing the first question with that. Minthu, the main purpose of these celebrations, so that should be plural, is to share the happiness and satisfaction among family members, friends, and colleagues. Perfect. To share the happiness. Perfect. Yeah, good. Thoda, I completely agree that people are spending. Now, a lot and too much is not the same. So, are spending too much money on family celebrations because they are very important occasions in their lives. So again, you're trying to explain why the people are spending the money, but you need to explain why your opinion is that the money is too much. So this seems to be pretty common confusion. So let me just explain this. Let's say I had a birthday party and I spent $100,000 on my birthday party. Like, do you think it's okay to spend $100,000 on a birthday party? Do you think that's okay? If you think that's okay, then you would say, so for the second question, it says, do you think people really spend too much? Now, I've just told you I spent $100,000 on a birthday party. If you think that's okay, you say, no, I don't think people spend too much. It's okay. But if you think $100,000 on a birthday party is ridiculous, or it's stupid, or it nobody should do that, then you're answering the question saying, do you think people spend too much money? You're saying, yes, I do think some people spend too much money. And with that, you need to explain, why is it a problem that I spend $100,000 on a birthday party? So that's what you're talking about. You're not trying to give a reason why I spent it. You're giving a reason why you think the amount I spent is not okay. So that's the second question. So it does seem that there are quite a few of you who didn't really understand the question, and there are two potential reasons for that. There's one is you're not analyzing the question carefully enough, as in you're reading it quickly and trying to rush to generating your ideas. If that's the problem, then you know you should spend more time analyzing the question. But if it's because you don't have the vocabulary level, well, then the solution is that you need to improve your vocab. So just consider, why did you misunderstand it? And then you can take the appropriate action based on that. An amount of money has to be spent for celebrating some events, which makes No, so that's not relevant. The purpose of these celebrations makes people come together and bond. Yep, but the grammar there, Gerline. So the purpose of these celebrations is to make people come together and bond. Sandy. Celebrating these family events provides those family members with opportunities to spend quality time together. Perfect. However, I believe that those individuals spend their money excessively on such events because almost every member of them doesn't make sense, Sandy. Every member of a family celebrates whenever having an event. So that's not that it's not clear what you're trying to say. So the first idea is good. The second one, why do you think it's too much money? I'm not sure. So there's some vocab mistakes there with every member of them, but on top of that, whenever having events. So like let's say if I spent 100,000 on a birthday, but I only celebrate one birthday a year. I mean, not my birthday, but a birthday in my family. So let's say we don't celebrate anybody's birthday but my daughter's, but we spend $100,000 on celebrating that birthday. Is that okay? Or is it? So what you're talking about is the number of occasions, but it's not necessarily the number of occasions. It's the amount of money overall. So like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. You're not addressing the question there. Okay. Sanjani, the main purpose of these celebrations is that family members can meet each other. Good. I do not think that people spend a huge amount. Again, too much is not the same as a huge amount. So that's not an accurate. You're not responding directly to the question because the vocab isn't accurate. Because they earn for their happiness, that doesn't communicate anything. So I would guess you're trying to say, I do not think that people spend too much money because it makes them happy. So is it the more money I spend, the happier I'll be? So if that's what you're trying to say, that makes sense. Mancor. Enjoyment is good for everyone, so sometimes people celebrate different kinds of occasions and make very expensive high level celebrations. But no, that's got nothing to do with what you've been asked. So that's completely irrelevant. So you can't just talk about family celebrations. You can't just talk about people spending a lot of money on family celebrations. You have to say what is the function, and you have to say if you think it's too much or if it's not too much. So you can't just write about the topic in general like this. Rupinder. In my opinion, some individuals actually use an excessive amount of their finance on celebrations. Good. So that's a direct answer to the second question, but there is no main idea to support. So after that, you have to follow that up by saying, why do you think that? So you have answered the question, but without a main idea. So that is important to include that as well. Sathija, I think individuals are not really spending too much money because of the present pandemic. That I don't see how that's relevant. That's irrelevant. So you're saying that people don't spend too much because they cannot celebrate? No, it's not. It's not that you can't disagree with the question. So you can't say that there aren't people out there spending money on family celebrations. You can't disagree that nobody is celebrating. It's the concept of people spending too much is what you need to focus on. So you're not saying, well, nobody can celebrate anymore. But it's not about if people can or can't celebrate. It's about, is the amount of money, is it a problem if people spend a lot of money? That's what you need to address. In my view, people have the right to spend their money as long as they can afford it. So do you think people spend too much or not? That's not a direct answer. So unfortunately, you haven't answered the question. They show their feelings, how much they love each other and care about each other. and it is not required a lot of money, nothing have a value make. So you need to directly answer the question, Calsum. So even though you have ideas that are appropriate, you need to say the function of these celebrations is, and then give the function, and then say, I don't think they spend too much money because they're trying to make their family happy. So that would be fine. But you need to say, put it in context. Why are you saying that? You're saying that because you're trying to support why you don't think people are spending too much money. Alright, Jose, in my opinion, I do not think people really spend too much on celebrations. I would rather believe they are not spending enough because what is worth doing well. Okay. Celebrations are meant to be enjoyed and spent on because these events only happen once in a while and not an everyday event. So it is worth the spending. That's really good. Yep. Well developed. Arif, for me, that's too informal, but I know what you're doing. For me, so like start with I believe, it's totally up to those. No, go with yes or no. Do you think people really spend too much? Just say yes I do or no I don't. It's a much more direct answer. And because your task achievement score requires you to have a clear and consistent opinion, and it's easier to develop it, it's easier to stay focused if because essentially by saying I'm in the middle, now you have two ideas to develop. You have to develop why you do and develop why you don't. It's much more complicated. So just say yes I do because, or no I don't because. So it's totally up to those people who are spending the money. There are some people who spend too much than they can afford because of some traditional issue which are running from centuries, while others spend because they can afford. So no, you're not really, no. Just go with one side will be easier. Successful teacher. Thanks, Rakul. Love you. Thanks, Rumel. Myra. The occasions perform value to the vital part of people's lives, which is the birth and the union of two people to enter it. Now you're just describing what a wedding is. No, you don't describe a wedding. You describe family celebrations. So a wedding is an example of a family celebration, but we're not asking you to describe the function of a wedding. We're asking you to describe the function of a family celebration. So you seem to have misinterpreted the question there. I feel that this can be done in wisely manner as celebrating in simple way. So no. So again, you're not saying if you think they are or if they are not spending too much money. So you need to directly respond to the question. Myra. The main function of this celebration is to show people that they are all appreciated and welcome. So the word this doesn't fit. So these celebrations, the main function of these celebrations is to show people that they are all appreciated and welcome for a one in a lifetime celebration. So that phrase isn't suitable. The one in a lifetime celebration isn't suitable, since it takes a considerable amount of time for an individual to plan and organize the celebration. So it's not about the amount of time, we're talking about the amount of money. Okay, Rupinder. As celebrations are the way to present economic status because everyone considers how host organize event, especially venue, food. Okay, so the function of the celebration is to show your economic status. Yep, that's fine. Sandy, I do not believe that they spend their money excessively on such events because the amount of money that they spend is not important as long as they spend their quality time with their family members. No, no, you're kind of you're going around the question. Do they spend too much money? And then you're talking about, you know, it's nice to enjoy celebrations, but if it doesn't matter how much money they're spending, then why don't they spend nothing? No, you're not addressing the issue with the money. No, you need to discuss the money in your development. Some people spend a lot of money for celebrations to give a value for someone who loves. So it depends on your state in life. If you are poor, don't spend too much money. But rich people spend too much money, invite a lot of people. No, there's a lot of accuracy mistakes with vocab and grammar here, Calcium. And also you're not directly addressing the question. And then you're saying, I don't like to spend too much, but it's not about you. It's not about what you like to do. So it could be the case that you don't like to spend a lot of money on celebrations, but that doesn't mean you have a problem with other people doing it. So let's say the example again, I spend $100,000 on my birthday. Maybe you're okay with that. You don't do it, but maybe you think it's okay for me to do it. So again, you need to be more careful that you're addressing the question directly. So that's the same one again. How to improve your writing skills. So it's about determining what area you're having problems with. So there are 4 bands. There's task achievement, coherence and cohesion, vocab, and grammar. So first decide, which area of that you need to focus on. Based on what you've written, I feel like vocab is probably the main area for you to work on. Because you're using a lot of vocab inaccurately and the communication isn't as clear as it needs to be for a good score. So I would definitely say focus on vocab to begin with. And you can use those links that I shared at the beginning of the lesson. So this complete task 2 guide, there's a vocab strategy there that you can follow. But it's basically one thing at a time. You can't just get better at writing, but you can improve your vocab, you can improve your grammar, you can improve your ability to respond to the question and develop your ideas, generate ideas, all of that. Thanks, Arif. Yeah, so we're pretty much done. Got a lot of feedback for a lot of students, but not as far through the essay as normal. As well, maybe you've heard me in the previous live streams this week. Well, I'm taking 2 weeks off. So I will have the live feedback lesson tomorrow for task 2. So if you've already registered, I'll see you there. And then I'll have no more live streams, no more live feedback lessons until January. Also, I'm pretty much finished my writing course. It's not open. I'm not accepting any students into the course yet, but I am accepting emails. If you want to put your name down, you can click on this link and share your email address with me. And basically, as I said, it's not finished. It's getting very, very close to finished. And it's just going to be me working individually with students. So it's not going to be one-on-one. It's going to be very much helping students overcome, the smaller minor issues that they have along the way. So not many places, not going to be working with many students because I want to give a small number of students a lot of support. It's how I would prefer to do it. I'll continue doing these live streams and the live feedback lessons. But yep, if you're looking for, closer support and kind of more hands-on help, then you can at least put your name down for that. But I can't promise that there will be a place for everyone. Thanks, Kamal. I don't have reading classes, but I do have a reading lesson. Or Jose, I can share it with you now. One moment. There you go. You'll see that in the comments. Yeah, so that's it. If you're not in my lesson tomorrow, I will see you in the new year, 2022. Can't believe that's happening already. My God, fast fast few years. If you celebrate Christmas, I hope you enjoy the holiday. If you don't, I hope you have a good time anyway, whatever you're doing. If any of you are doing the IELTS test between now and when I see you next, then best of luck with that. And yeah, otherwise, see you next time. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Bye bye.